Gentlemen, to Let's Talk Relationship. I'm Stefania Pulio from the Gentleman's Square. For those of you that don't know me, I am a certified hypnotherapist. I am a love and relationship therapist, and I am here to deliver to you some amazing content, some wonderful content that is always, it's content that has been asked of me to actually talk about. And today, gentlemen, we are talking about being used. Yes, but before I do, be sure to hit the subscribe button and press like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and so you get all my latest downloads. So, the topic for today, what are we talking about? We are talking about being used, feeling manipulated in a relationship. And I know a lot of the times this is something that happens quite a bit in relationships. And men always voice out to me how they feel. And the exact words is they feel used. They feel like, they're being manipulated. They're being sort of set up by their women. Now, of course, this happens in either gender, but because I do work with men, I want to bring to highlight some of the signs of how you can actually avoid this and look for the signs, because a lot of the times, um, well, what does it really mean? When someone is actually using us, it means that we are being manipulated or being taken advantage of for their own benefit. Okay. And a lot of the times, we feel this. Have you ever, ever gotten that feeling that someone is manipulating you for their benefit? Have you actually felt that? Or that they only care about what you can offer them? That's right, what you can offer them. And it's nothing to do with you, it's all about themselves. In these situations, yes, gentlemen, it is possible that you are being used. And, what does it actually, what does it feel like? I mean, it doesn't feel very pleasant. Let's face it. When someone says that they feel like they're being used, it typically means that their rights have either been violated or they have been taken advantage of. Now, this can be quite, disputable, and people may say, well, we are in control of what we give and how we act and how we, react wherever there's a cause and effect. And that's true, and which leads me into saying in some cases, right, as individuals, we may not actually recognize that we're being used until after, long after the behaviors actually start, because we're in that phase of feeling love. We're feeling, our endorphins. We're all very stimulated sexually. We're attracted. There's this whole, pool of attraction that we may not even recognize the patterns that we are being used. However, on other occasions, okay, we may feel, we may actually, as individuals, be aware that we're being manipulated for the other person's gain and right of way, but we don't actually do anything about it. We get stuck in that pool of, if I point it out, what's going to happen with this amazing relationship that I have, which really isn't that amazing if you're actually being used, right? But you know, we can get caught up with that fear of rejection, that fear of abandonment, that fear of, we may just not have a relationship anymore. Okay. Now, past relationships, this is where sometimes this goes back into why does this happen, right? And it may be just a behavioral pattern that we get caught up in. Okay. And sometimes it actually goes back to our childhood. It can play a role in our adult relationship dynamics. That's right. I'm going to repeat that again. Sometimes it goes as far back as our childhood, and it can play, and it can play out, it can play a role in our adult relationship dynamics. So, for instance, right, people who have grown up in families, in positive families, may, not always, but sometimes be more assertive and therefore less likely to be taken advantage of. But if you've actually grown up in a family where you feel like you have to please, to get accepted, fear of rejection, family dynamics, parents, all this comes into play. Okay. But today I'm going to be talking about the signs that you're actually being used, gentlemen. And I really want to bring this home to you guys because, this is something I hear a lot. I hear a lot. Stefania, she's only after my wallet. She just is only interested in what I can spend on her and, how much I can give her, how paying the bills, paying for her rent, paying for this, paying for that. And the crazy part is, right? Sometimes, the sometimes, okay, I can understand there can be a transaction, right? You could actually be benefiting from that, you know, um, feeling of being used. While there's this transaction of maybe sex, companionship, friendship, whatever it is, okay. But sometimes there's none of that. There is just total being used, where a woman is taking total advantage of you. Okay. So the signs to actually spot that you are being used, that we are in a situation that we're being used. Okay. I want to point this out that sometimes these signs can be really subtle. That's right. They creep up. Again, you are in that whole energy of being, um, in love, sexual attraction, the chemistry's right. She's saying all the right things. She's making you feel good. And, but there are other signs to look out for. Okay. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. So, this is when she may be asking for money. She may be asking for money. She may be asking for favors, or other items. Okay. Paying for bills. She may be asking to pay for school fees for her children. I don't know. Whatever, her preferences may be. Or it may be she feels like, she can move in with unexpectedly, or want to borrow your car at a moment's notice. Whatever that is, it's when she is imposing without your consideration. Okay. She's just imposing herself on you. Um, and that can be a clear sign. She may expect you to take care of her needs. Yes, as simple as that. Like going out for dinner, you paying for everything, paying for holidays, offering to pay, and and simply expect you to pick up on the tab. Now, this one is a dicey one, okay? And I'm not saying there's either right or wrong, because in this, I think a lot of it comes into play with cultures. And I know, because I've lived in different parts of the world, and lived in and lived and experienced different relationships in different cultures. For instance, some men, are offended if you try and pick up the tab. Okay. They feel like, they're more of a man if they pay for, the dinner, they pay for, the movie ticket, or whatever it is. And there's no harm in um, a woman offering, but if he insists, well, then that's a different situation. But when a woman just doesn't offer at all, or just simply expects that, I think that is a clear sign, gentlemen. Okay. Now, another clear sign that shows up all the time is when she appears disinterested in you. That's right, disinterested in you after her needs have been met. Yes, this is so common. You know, she, for instance, will be all affectionate and she will show every sign of showing interest in you until she gets what she wants, okay? Until her needs are met. But after that, she won't spend any time with you. Other than that, you are just nothing. You are just a tool to spending money on her, paying for her, doing things for her. Okay, now this sounds really harsh, and I know I'm really drumming this in, but gentlemen, I say wake up because if you're not going to wake up to this, it has an impact on you. Eventually, it does have an impact, and you know this this impact can affect you long term, and it can affect you when you are really down on your lowest and start distrusting women. Okay, but the last one I wanted to mention is when she doesn't make an effort to be there for you. When you have done everything and you've taken the time, you've been there in her lows, and she is not there for you. She's, for instance, or even, it may not be emotional. It may be just, you borrowing her car all the time, but then she won't agree to taking you to the airport simply because it's inconvenient for her. Okay. That is a clear sign that she is not there for you. Now, being used in a relationship, okay, might involve selfishness. That's it. It's as simply put as that. It's selfishness and disinterest in your needs. And this is something that, you know, you shouldn't just turn a blind eye to it because um, it can affect you long run. Now, sometimes it may even be sexual. I know of guys that are really, want to want commitment, want emotional commitment from, the woman they're involved with, but there's only this being used for their sexual needs. Okay. Again, this is something that you have to realize and know that it has an impact on you, or it has an impact on us sooner or later. For some sooner, for some later. Okay. Now, being used, let's face it, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when we have been taken advantage of. It can make us feel poorly about ourselves. It can make us feel negative about ourselves. And it can definitely take a toll on our relationships, whether it be the relationship with that person, and then it has a rippling effect on our other relationships at work, family dynamics. And it's definitely harder to trust other women in the future in relationships simply because we have not spotted the signs. We haven't been able to spot the signs. So there are, you know, uh, there are other impacts. And the other impact that I really wanted to mention that it can have on us is the impact on our mental health. Yes, gentlemen, I know everyone talks about mental health and how that affects us and it creates PTSD, but being taken advantage of can lead to significant mental problems. Okay. It can lead, to us feeling, as I said before, uh, down on ourselves, feel poorly about ourselves, but it can manifest into symptoms, okay? Manifest into symptoms like anxiety, depression, trauma, PTSD. And again, it will have an impact on, uh, I guess, giving us the confidence to trust others in forming new relationships simply because we have been jaded in the past of being used. So, being used is definitely not a sign of a healthy relationship. It means one person, okay, one person is taking excessively out of that relationship while the other person is making all the sacrifices. That's right. It's unbalanced. That's why it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like you're in harmony with this person. But why do we stay in this relationship? This is what I want to know. Why is it that we stay in relationships that don't feel congruent, that doesn't, relationships that don't resonate with our frequency? And again, it disrupts the power balance, in a relationship. It's unhealthy, okay? And we're responsible for that. Yes, when it boils down to it all, we as individuals that are in that relationship, because it takes two to tango, right? It takes two to clap. We are responsible. So I want to talk about three really important strategies that can be used to avoid being used. Okay. It definitely does take work to work on this, because if this is something that we're not used to doing or we don't know how to do it, you know, it it takes discipline, it takes consistency. But the first one I talk about all the time, you've probably heard me talk about it in the past, is setting boundaries. And I know this has been a difficult one for me in the past, but it can be done. Men, gentlemen, you can learn to set boundaries. You're not a weak man if you set boundaries, okay? Learning to identify the violations to interpersonal boundaries and setting healthy boundaries is a great way to start. It's a great way to start, right? Protecting your mental health and ensuring you're not being used is your priority. It is your priority, and you've got to make it your priority. And only we as individual, yes, you as an individual can do that. No one can do that for you. We have to take responsibility by setting those boundaries. Number two, I talk about and really emphasize working on our self-esteem. And I know that can be hard, especially if we've been in and out of relationships and we find that we're always attracting that same type of person, that woman that is always attracted to our money, attracted to our wallets, attracted to what we can give and provide, rather than who we are as individuals. Okay. But the only way we can do that is working to build our self compassion and recognizing our values. All right. And that, by doing that and building our self esteem, can help us limit, limit the possibility of being taken advantage of. Learning how to navigate through these signs, knowing the signs, knowing how to move and navigate and using the right language. Okay. And stepping comfortably in your own skin to be able to say, no or yes when you want to, without guilt, without shame. All right. And the third one, I always say, if you can't do it on your own, if you haven't been able to do it with, self-guide books and videos and everything like that, seek help. Seek professional guidance, particularly for, you know, preventing any kind of mental health impact that it can have. Because a lot of my clients come to me after, repeated, being in relationships, in and out of relationships, and having um, repeated the same pattern just with another person, and not being able to get out of that vicious cycle of, putting a stop to being used as a man. Okay. So get some help, get a mentor, get a therapist, someone that can also help you work towards building and creating healthy relationships. Because at the end of the day, you deserve it. You are enough and you deserve to be in a healthy relationship. All right. So that's that's what I really wanted to share today about healthy relationships. Who do we have here? Oh, Zanetta, how are you? Good to see you. She says, "Hi, Bella." Yes, it is. It is a world that we are worried the relationship is going to end. Yes, of course, and this is something that is quite prevalent, and I hear it all the time with men. They're feeling. Tell the men these behaviors. Yes, yes. And this is why I'm coming on a little stronger today, because I hear it and I see it, and I know you know this is something men don't want to talk about because they feel that they have failed. They feel that they haven't been able to get it together in their relationships. But when this is really, a pattern, this is a behavior, this is something that you feel that you are constantly in and out of, it's time to actually get some help. It's time to actually talk to someone. And, to add to this, I know a lot of you do follow me, and I really want to acknowledge you and say thank you for, being part of my channel. But don't feel like you can't reach out to me. I do offer 30-minute insight calls. I call them insight calls, where you can just talk to me about anything. Um, Ask me questions, share a situation, an issue that you are struggling with, just to get some clarity, just to see that, sometimes we can feel like, is it just me? Am I going crazy here? And what better person than to get it from a woman's perspective? Because sometimes we may be, you know, in that blocked tunnel vision and not be able to see things clearly. And, I see myself as an advocate for men. I I see and I feel, because I'm very much into, feeling people's pains, that there has to be some kind of balance. There has to be a stop to this, f- being used, okay, in a relationship. And the only way this is going to happen is if you take responsibility for your own actions. If you say, no, it's enough. Now it's about me. And this is saying it's about me in a selfless way, in a way that you will, as I said, build self-confidence, build self-esteem, be able to set those healthy boundaries without fear, without guilt or shame. Okay? Wonderful. Well, thank you once again for coming on and sharing with me and listening to me. If you have any comments, please put a comment down below. I am going to share with you a quiz. Yes, a boundary style quiz. Find out what your boundary style is. It's an amazing quiz. I put it together myself, and I'm going to put it in the link below. Feel free to take the quiz and see whether you're good at setting boundaries or not. And if you aren't, right, seek ways to actually start setting healthy boundaries, to start having those healthy, rock solid relationships that you deserve, gentlemen. All right. Okay. That's it for today's segment. I, as always, invite you to come and join me every week. That's right. Australian Eastern Standard Time here in Australia at 11:30, and in Eastern Standard Time 8:30. Come and say hello, share with us your thoughts, and I will see you next week. And be sure to share, to click the like button. Yes, click like and share it with your friends. Yeah. Until next time, as always, I send you love and I send you passion. Bye for now.